Welcome to Heather Ewing, the CRE Rundown. I am your host, Heather Ewing. And today from beautiful Brooklyn, New York, I have none other than Levi Blum. He is a commercial real estate debt expert. Levi, welcome.
Hi, good morning, Heather. Thank you very much for having me.
Definitely, it's my pleasure. So let's get into the backstory. We've connected through LinkedIn and share a little bit more with my audience of how you got into lending.
Great question. I started many years ago, 20 plus years ago, working in sales. I like the idea of doing sales because it's basically connecting with people, people you never met before, like me and you. We never met. We didn't go to school together,
Mhm.
and connecting with people, getting to know. Sorry, getting to know what people do, business, how they got started. It's something that I like very much. Networking, I like that very much as well. As you know, I'm very active on LinkedIn. And I
Definitely.
did it. I started in the technology industry. Also started in 2003, 2002, as a working for a company that was leasing office equipment to businesses. This is a very hard sell. I don't recommend that to anyone. I mean, and eventually that industry became very commodities based. Nobody really cares what kind of brand. You can show off
Mhm.
your watch or car, then they sits at a barbecue and show off their copier. Have a Canon, you have a Xerox. It's pretty much the same as long as they do the same thing. Pass paper from the first one side to the other side. Eventually, that industry turned into IT services and document management. I was in it for 18, 19 years, and I was dying to get out of it.
Right.
A year and a half before COVID, somebody introduced me to debt financing. And they're like, you don't have to quit your day job. You can do that on the side. I was working for, a very tiny company, one person, there was two people in the company. I learned a lot about financing, and I was happy to be able to, after 5 o'clock, going to other networking meetings, since I was trying to get out of that industry to talk about, financing. And then what happened is when you talk to a CFO or an investor to get access to financing, even if you're not in the business today, to get financing, everybody
Mhm.
listens to you. They'll give you 5 minutes. Versus when I used to talk to people about IT services, most people are like, you have to talk to my IT person. I have no idea what, I'm relying to one person. So
Right.
I felt like, I was very tempted to, to do that full time, but I have a family, I have a wife and 5 children. So you can just quit your job. And then COVID came, whatever was sent to us, whatever. And everything closed down, especially in New York City. And I'm like, this is basically a message that I have to, might as well get started on my own business instead of just sitting around and unfortunately listen to, a lot of bad news. And, we lost a lot of people during COVID. It was a
Right.
chaos, especially in New York. So I opened up an LLC. As you can see, I'm not 20 years old. I'm 50 years old. So I had to learn how to use social
Mhm.
media properly. I used LinkedIn before, but I had no clue how to use it. So this is
Right.
a message that I want to pass on. Also, those tools like LinkedIn and other social media do work to to connect with people and maybe to to get your name out there. But there's a way of doing it that's going to work, and there's another way of doing it that's not going to work. So I had to take a couple of classes, and I had the time. Fortunately, COVID, we were all indoors, and I took a couple of classes. I learned how to do posting, how to post, what to post about. How to connect with people, how to get to connection to maybe a conversation on a DM, and then the goal is to finish on a Zoom meeting. It's not going to work all the time, but the goal is basically post a lot so you create a name out there. So people,
Mhm.
I'm going to reach out to you, connect to you, and you're going to say, "Who's this guy, Levi Bloom?" Is they're going to Google my not Google my they can put my name on LinkedIn, and they're going to see that I'm very active every day, Monday through Friday, most of the weeks. I am posting, and they're going to see that my posts are usually between real estate investment, financing, and entrepreneurs. Well, entrepreneur is a very not an easy job. If you want to become an entrepreneur,
Right.
to think that you can actually, go on vacation and let your 10 workers work for you, that's not the way most successful people started.
Right.
The first few years, you got to work very hard. It's you and yourself only, so it's very lonely sometimes. When you go through a tough time, it's you and the walls and yourself. And I think, I made a lot of good connection on LinkedIn, people that I follow. They are, that I keep in touch with, and they give you people, they are a lot of times to give you a boost, and, and help you to stay, above ground when things are shaky. Um,
Right.
I've two people that I follow, mostly like, real estate investors. So you have to be very focused who you want to connect with. Now, I didn't connect with my neighbors or the person that I went to school with. I connected mainly with real estate investors all over the country in New York. I'm in America, sorry. And then I do follow a few people that are some LinkedIn gurus, and I take a lot of tips from them. And here we are, and that's how me and you connected it. And
Right.
we're friends now.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a neat thing too, kind of like we were talking about a little bit before of LinkedIn is such, it's like the emporium, right, of all these different asset classes, different career arenas, synergistic opportunities. And it's a really nice way to learn about people, to start connecting. And that's also with the podcast that I love having this, because you get to have those conversations and really understand what does each person truly do and how can you best help them, and also how can you help your clients by connecting them, whether it's yourself or other people that I've met through LinkedIn. That it's a terrific resource. And you had mentioned also about entrepreneurship, and I think there's such a buzz about it. You hear the infamous take the leap and things of that nature. Being where you are at now, right? You've been in it for a few years, you're understanding more of the ropes, making changes, systems, things of that nature. What's advice that you would give for someone that might be contemplating entrepreneurship or is maybe new to the
Okay.
game?
So, number one, I'm going to say things the way they are. It's not going to be an easy ride. Number one. I had 20 plus years of sales background, and I think sales is important because you're always selling. Number one, marketing, I had to learn myself, a lot of about marketing. That's, marketing can be putting a post. I mean, there's a way of doing it that people want to read about it because it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of, you have to stay positive. Your mindset is basically 70% of what the day is going to look like. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't see how I'm able to close one deals, or make a new connection, your day is going to go bad. I used to, in my early days, I used to always look like, it's ready 12 o'clock, I only have 5 hours to work, that's really too late, should I work, is it worth it? What I changed the way I'm thinking today is more like, it's 12 o'clock, I've been on my desk since 7:30, I spend X hours, I've 6 hours already, and I've connected with people. And I started also to celebrate, not really a celebration, but I started to also, celebrating, even make it one connection. Like, we're having today this meeting, me and you. This is something that I check into my daily task that's gonna get me closer to my end goal. My end goal is not to sell you anything, as you can tell people that are listening and watching us. I haven't mentioned a word about why you should be doing business with me.
Right.
And we mentioned that before we started recording it, is on LinkedIn, the goal is to network. So a lot of time I would reach out to people that are following me or they comment on my post, and I'm like, let's jump on a 10-minute or 10-minute, 5 minutes Zoom meeting just to get to know each other. I'm not going to sell you anything. If you need financing, I will still let you know what I do. But my goal is, and I've discovered so much about people once you're on a Zoom meeting together, which a lot of time ended up, me being able to do some introduction. So 3 weeks ago, which is very funny, I spoke to a commercial real estate agent from Atlanta, Georgia. That same day in the afternoon, I was talking to a new real estate investor in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm like, would you be something that's are you would you be happy, or to make a connection with the commercial agent, and the commercial
Right.
agent, would you be happy to speak to an investor which is locally? And they were both very happy, and then I made the connection, and whatever happened. So my point is, a lot of times we do not connect with people with the mindset that you're looking to close a deal, because if you have that mindset, you're going to get burned very easily, very quickly.
Right.
of course, you want to connect with people that you have something in common. So you're in the real estate. As far as I think I remember, you do commercial leasing, real estate. You
Sales.
deal with investors. I deal with people that might be looking to purchase some commercial, real estate in Milwaukee. This is where you are located,
Right, right.
and that's the goal. I mean, you as of today, you're not buying personal real estate. You're not going to reach out to me, and I'm not moving to Milwaukee either. I mean, as of now, so there's no need. We're not going to do business together, but what we can do is refer people to each other. And I think this is the goal of LinkedIn. That's why I like it a lot. And my goal is to, be able to have, 3, 4 meetings daily. And then the main thing I will tell somebody once you have a meeting, put all the information on the CRM, so you have a summary. So when I speak to you next time, I'm not going to be like fresh new conversation. I'm going to say, last time you spoke to me, you were about to take your child to the soccer game, and how was it? Whatever. Maybe the conversation, you just write a small summary. So it's going to be a
Mhm.
continuation of the first or second or third conversation.
I agree. And I think that level of thoughtfulness goes a long ways. And it also ties into kind of, what you're saying is it's much more of a relationship based journey. And I think, when you hear of sales from back in the day, I think it was very much like push, kind of like you're shoveling your agenda and kind of stuffing it, right? And someone's
Right.
supposed to accept it. Whereas now, I think it is much more relational. And to me, that's the interesting part, right? Instead of just shooting everything everywhere, of really getting to know people and understanding what they
Yeah.
do, how they do it, what's happening in life, maybe pivotal moments of time, upcoming travels, adventures, things of that nature. And I think sales is one large adventure. And if you do like forming relationships and getting outside of your comfort zone and learning and all these different things, it can be a really rich and rewarding arena.
I mean,
And as you had mentioned earlier, with entrepreneurship tied in with sales, of it can be stressful, it can be lonely, especially in the beginning and all those different things. But now that you're settled in, what would you say helps you to de-stress after these busy days?
What helps me? I mean, as I mentioned, I just look back at my day, and instead of just looking like how many quote that I put together and how many deals that I closed, especially in the real estate environment, which 2024 was a little of a rough, year for all of us.
Hmm.
Rates went up. I mean, last week I had 4 clients that were looking to refinance. I put the best numbers that I was able to put together. The numbers did not add up properly, and there's nothing I could have
Hmm.
done. And last year was a lot of those. What I was looking, actually, I was going through my CRM and I was looking through it, and I saw how many deals I was involved did not close, but how many deals I was involved last year which did not close. And it gives me a little comfort, basically, to make me realize that I'm working very hard. I'm also very consistent. That's my personality. I'm very disciplined. So I'm up at the same time every morning, and then by 7:30 my post goes out and I start doing whatever I'm supposed to do. And
Right.
I go straight till 12 o'clock. And then I think you have to not only being on LinkedIn just to see how many sales you're going to make, because if you focus on sales only, and it's something that I had to work on myself, so I have, I really can talk about it. Like before,
Hmm.
when I worked in the corporate world, I worked for the family-owned business, and then from there I went to work for Fortune 500. Everything was quota, what you're holding. If you're not meeting quota next year, next month we're going to give you, we're going to give you a warning letter. And I realized with the stress that was in that environment, you cannot be productive,
Right.
versus when you work on it for yourself. As long as truthful to yourself, that you get up in the morning, you do work, you have some kind of a schedule. What I recommend is to do the important things from 7:30 till 12, which is where your head is the most clear. So this is where I'm
Mhm.
going to be doing, connecting with people, commenting, because commenting is very tiring. It's not exciting. I want to tell people the process is not meant to be exciting. So how you keep excited, get yourself excited, is when you think and you realize that this is part of the journey and the process will take you to where you want to get eventually. That's what keeps me going, because let's
Yeah.
be real, commenting is not, it's hard. You got to read. I try to comment on, let's say, 60, 70 posts. I
Right.
reply I reply to everybody that puts a comment on my post. So it's a lot of reading, and you cannot just say thumbs up because whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get back. So if like a thumbs
Exactly.
up every time somebody put a comment on your on your post, people are not going to hang around. The goal of a
Right.
post is to start a conversation. That's the goal. And I would tell people, when you comment on somebody's post, if you have a question, ask the question in the comment, and this is where the person's going to start replying. I did it this morning with a LinkedIn guru. His name is Jasmine Alec, I think so. And
Okay.
I commented the first thing in the morning was like 7 a.m. I saw my phone, keep it as a, it comes up. The only thing that comes up on my phone is the LinkedIn when LinkedIn post comes up. And I commented, he replied. We had like 5, 6, basically back and forth. And then other people that saw us talking to each other, they put some also some thumbs up, etc. So the goal
Right.
is not just it's commenting is fine, of course. You're not always
Hmm.
gonna have a question. You rather have, good question is just ask a question just to put a question there. But I think it's very important to start a conversation in the comments, and hopefully more people get involved. And this is people, people can see you as the expert. For you would be commercial, agents for a certain area. For me would be like debt financing, and others might be other things as well.
Right, it creates almost like a mini forum within the post itself, and certain questions, to your point, or information really do get traction and they take off. So it builds an energy of its own, and it is kind of fun, to your point, of seeing, all right, you started with this element and where different people's questions or comments shifted to. So it is a great way to learn and highlight expertise without being salesy, right? So
That's
it's
right. And
sharing those stories as you do. And I also enjoy seeing people's stories of how they help people and where they started, the steps that they took, and the end result. And I think that's very meaningful also, because people that might be new to LinkedIn, it also helps them to see there's a format and a pattern and a rhythm, because as the old adage, success leaves clues, it does. And I would say a superpower is definitely discipline and consistency. And that's something I have in common with you too, of without it, I just don't know how people are ever going to get where they want to. And when I reflect back into my own life in the earlier years, I was not consistent and I wasn't disciplined. So it makes sense, So it's like, oh, thank goodness.
yeah, I think when I was working for larger companies, the problem is even if you're consistent, but you have so much stress in your head because your manager wants to see
Hmm.
your numbers. It's all numbers oriented. Like one thing
Right.
which I didn't like about working those places is you come on time in the morning, they don't really care. You leave after everybody because you work, you make the most phone calls, they don't care. It's all about number. I'm like, I didn't feel like it was a very fair environment. So that's why I'm happy where I am. And don't get me wrong, it's, in some ways, I have other stress because you're relying on you making sales in order to make some income. I'm personally with my sales background and my personality, I do know
Hmm.
how to connect, and something that I have, whether I was born with it or whatever, developed that much later, then I may be able to connect with people that I never met before and have a great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, we feel like we can be friends even if we don't do business together.
Right.
So that's what and I think also LinkedIn, people need to realize it's not going to be an overnight, become wealthy or create, a 10,000 network around you, overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to have to prove yourself, and just celebrate. Bless you. Celebrate small things. I made 5 new connections today. I sent out, X amount of, DMs. And one thing that I posted yesterday, which didn't have too many reaction, but I figured it was a Super Bowl and Sundays, was
Yes.
Gary Vee saying to somebody was trying to get in touch with investors to get some, funds basically. And Gary told them, like, how many DMs do you send out per day? The guy says 25. So Gary replies, 25, it's not going to get you anywhere. Send out 70, 60, 80. He mentioned 100. It's also another thing that takes a lot of time. What I do, I have templates that I already put together on a Word document. So I have a first message, a second message. What if they don't reply? What if they reply? And so on and so forth. But it takes time. It's not automated, and it takes a lot of time. You have to, and it's not fun at all. You just have to keep on doing it.
But I think at the same time, kudos to you because we've all had that where you connect with someone and then suddenly you get this laundry list type of text back and it's like, oh, I'm like, how did I fall for that one? And it's just like you want nothing to do with it after that because it's a big turnoff.
That's
And I
right.
agree with you completely of building the relationships and it takes time and that it is gratifying for that reason too. But as we wrap this up, Levi, you've got your pros and cons, right, of social media. What to you does living fully mean? What is that fuel within you that keeps you being disciplined and consistent in helping all your great clients?
Um, Number one, I like helping people. I mean, when I finance a deal, whether it's a single family, 4 units, 20, 40 units, I like to go through the process. It's very fulfilling when you help somebody who came, whether they have experience or no experience, they came up to me, which means that they have some kind of trust, whether it's from LinkedIn, from other places, referrals, and they pretty much they feel comfortable doing business with me. And when I take those people from point A all the way to point Z, there's a satisfaction about closing a deal. I feel like I'm part of the team that closed the deal together with them.
Right,
And
right.
the way I work is the way I work is three people involved in the transaction is myself, a borrower, and the wholesaler that I work with who underwrites my deals. So what happens when three people are involved is less a chance for things to fall through the cracks. So if something goes wrong, I'm the only one that can look in the mirror and say, there was a mess up. I have to fix it instead of waiting for other people. This guy went on vacation. This lady's not feeling well. This man is on the hospital, which I had that in the past when I was working for larger companies. So I like
Mhm.
that much, very much. I'm I feel that I have it within me to succeed.
Right.
Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I feel like I'm working very hard. I have the
Right.
sales background and I believe in myself as well. I like my
Mhm.
product. I love closing a deal, financing a property, and there's a big satisfaction to that. And I think that's what keeps me going. And besides work, I mean, I have a family. I try to take care of myself. We spoke, we're not gonna have time, but we spoke about running also. So you inspired
Right,
me about running,
right.
which I've been slacking lately because of the cold.
Well,
That's
if you need a plan, you know who to reach out to. Happy
I
to
do.
help.
Thank you very much. And that's what keeps me going every day. I mean, 2024 was the one of my worst year, and every day, I was very consistent. 7:30, I had my post going out, connecting, commenting, and hopefully the goal is for whatever seeds that I plant in 2024 I know I should see the fruit of my labor in 2025.
And I have no doubt that you will. So with the
Thank
great
you.
attitude and the discipline and the consistency, I know you'll hit that goal. So
Thank you.
yes, and Levi, thank you so much for joining me today. Please share, how can people best connect with you?
So you can look me up on LinkedIn, number one. Um, Other ways, I mean, LinkedIn has all my information.
Perfect.
Um, my phone number, my email address. Look up Levi Blum, Leviblum. You can look me up if you reach out to me if you have a question about financing. I'm not pushy. I'm not gonna force you to do business with me. If you're looking for a quote, I can give you a quote on a smaller project. I can give you a quote in 5 minutes. For 1 to 4 units very quickly. So you have an idea.
Nice.
It's not a final quote, of course, but you have an idea. Like my monthly payment will be $3,000. I'm making an offer for X
Mhm.
amount. So and then if you're talking about larger project, which I work with agencies, that will take a little more time than just 5 minutes. But look me up on LinkedIn, reach out to me. Even if you have a question, I don't mind answering question. Even if you don't have experience, I don't mind educating you a little bit. So feel free to reach out, connect with me, and looking forward to be out there on LinkedIn and connect with more people.
Perfect. Well, Levi, thank you again for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.